The world of Mike Pondsmith's Cyberpunk tells us a cautionary tale. It shows a world where corporations become the new rulers, private interests are put before the people, and cybernetics rise as the new class weapon, ushering the downfall. In this video, we partly cover this story, the fall of the world and the rise of a nomad clan turned corporation, Metacorp. Feel free to use the timestamps to jump to your interested section. Kick your feet up and relax while we tell the story of the new corporate gods who rose from the chaos. By the late 20th century, America was already fraying at the edges. The once strong middle class was now vanishing, replaced by a widening divide between the elite corporate professionals and a struggling underclass. Driven by media fads, special interests and a me-first mentality, the social fabric began to disintegrate. The technical revolution only widened this chasm, creating technologically skilled elite and leaving millions homeless without prospects. By 1994, the number of homeless has skyrocketed to 21 million, and the idea of a unified, stable America seemed to be a relic of the past. The real turning point in America's decline came with the start of the first major corporate war in 2004, a conflict that set the stage for future corporations who wielded as much power, if not more, than governments. This war erupted when Euro business machines attempted a leveraged buyout of Trans Airlines, a struggling airline with valuable air traffic facilities. However, Orbital Air, another major corporation with its eye on TWA assets, blocked EBN's attempt, sparking a fierce corporate shutdown. Frustrated by the roadblock, EBM escalated by hiring terrorists to kidnap Orbital Air's negotiation team. The plan backfired, and Orbital Air quickly uncovered EBM's role in the plot. In retaliation, Orbital Air joined forces with Zetatech, launching a large-scale net attack on EBM. But EBM's cyber defenses proved resilient, forcing Zetatech out of the battle. With diplomacy and cyber warfare failing, both sides resorted to outright violence. EBM and Orbital Air targeted each other's assets with terrorism, piracy, corporate operatives, and proxy soldiers from developing nations. The war devastated both companies, costing them hundreds of millions of Eurodollars and leaving destruction in its wake. The first corporate war set a chilling precedent. Corporations would henceforth use any means, cyber attacks, mercenaries and even private armies to pursue their interests, regardless of the human cost. By the 2020s, America had become a shadow of its former self. Civil unrest, economic recessions and an escalating crime rate that led to the fragmentation of federal authority. The resulting fragmentation saw states like California, Texas and Oregon breaking away from the federal government to form self-governed free states, leaving the USA divided and weakened. The fourth corporate war from 2021 to 2025 dealt a devastating blow. Arasaka and Militech, two mega corporations with deep-seated rivalry, went head-to-head on behalf of competing clients. Sino, a French oceanographic corporation, and OTEC, an American maritime technology firm. Cities turned into battlegrounds, and by the time the war ended, America was left reeling with a destroyed economy, radioactive wastelands, and widespread trauma from urban warfare. The fall of America triggered a worldwide ripple effect. Europe faced economic collapse and a wave of refugees. Asia saw a rise in corporate controlled states and syndicates. Nations became patchworks of corporate holdings, lawless territories, and self-governed enclaves. Global trade networks shifted as corporations took control of shipping lanes and airways, reducing governments to mere custodians of their shrinking domains. As technology advanced at a pace that society could not keep up with, inequality deepened. The elite indulged in cybernetics, bioengineering and personal AIs, while the masses struggled to meet basic needs. Sprawling megacities like Night City arose, governed not by elected officials but by corporate overlords. Night City became a beacon of opportunity and dystopian oppression, embodying the new corporate-driven world order. Urban collapse and the plague of inequality. Within America, urban areas fractured into corporate-controlled zones and lawless combat zones. Business districts became sleek showcases, while the surrounding suburbs turned into impoverished wastelands overrun by gangs. With that, the Gang of Four, an alliance of the NSA, CIA, DEA, and FBI under a corrupt vice president, only worsened the situation, turning the government into a tool for profit, stripping away welfare programs, and pursuing a brutal policy of imperialist warfare, a little more than normal. As the federal government weakened, the wealthy retreated to fortified corporate enclaves, leaving the poor to fend for themselves in collapsing cities. The rise of cybernetics and the endless war. As technology progressed, cybernetic enhancements became the new frontier of human advancement. Cyberware offered unprecedented strength, speed and endurance, but at a cost. The cybered-up elite grew impatient with the normal populace, and cyberpsychosis, violent psychotic breaks caused by excessive cybernetic enhancements, became increasingly common. Corporations and governments use cybernetically enhanced soldiers to fight wars, both at home and abroad, leading to a spiral of endless war. These wars became the nightly news, filling the public with fatigue and resentment, further destabilizing society. The corporate wars and the birth of the NUSA. The corporate wars, especially the fourth corporate war between Arasaka and Militech, accelerated the downfall of the old United States. These wars saw corporations like Militech using military force and advanced weaponry on American soil. Cities became battlegrounds, civilians became collateral damage, and what little authority the federal government had left crumbled under the weight of corporate firepower. The fourth corporate war ended in 2023 with the nuclear bombing of Arasaka Tower in Night City, a catastrophic event known as the Night City Holocaust. Militech, with the support of remnants of the federal government, proposed the formation of a new entity, the new United States of America, also known as the NUSA. The NUSA was designed to restore order, consolidate power, and reassert control over as much of the former United States as possible. Unlike the old federal government, the NUSA was heavily militarized and dominated by corporate interests, particularly those of Militech. The NUSA operated on a model closer to corporate military dictatorship than a traditional government. Regions under the NUSA control were subject to strict laws, high levels of surveillance, and a privatized police force designed to maintain order. The NUSA's leaders sold this vision to the public as a necessary restructuring, a return to greatness that would restore security and prosperity. In reality, it served to consolidate corporate power even further, particularly for those allied with Militech and the NUSA administration. What was everyday life like in the NUSA? For the average citizen in the NUSA territories, life was highly regulated and controlled. The NUSA brought stability, but at a cost: freedom. Surveillance was ubiquitous, and dissent was met with swift retaliation. Citizens could find employment, healthcare, and basic services, but these were all channeled through corporate-run programs and came with many strings attached. In effect, civilians lived in a corporate-ruled police state, with any step outside corporate lines could lead to job loss, blacklisting, or worse. Life in the Free States, by contrast, was chaotic, but free from federal or NUSA interference. The Free States relied on local government and often corporate sponsors to survive. Some territories became havens for nomad clans who ran supply chains and provided security in regions where corporations were absent or unwanted. Nomads thrived in these areas, operating trade routes and forming alliances that allowed them to coexist with rogue city-states and free state governments. In both the NUSA and the Free States, corporations ruled nearly every aspect of life. Citizens often caught in the crossfire of corporate competition and geopolitical maneuvering. Society was deeply stratified, with the wealthy and powerful living in opulent, secure enclaves, while the lower classes struggled to survive in rundown districts, combat zones, or in lawless stretches of badlands. Despite its power, the NUSA's reach was limited. Its influence was strongest on the East Coast and in certain militarized zones across the former United States. However, it faced continuous resistance from the Free States and corporations that sought autonomy. The NUSA attempted to exert control through economic pressure, military intervention, and intelligence operations, but the decentralized nature of the Free States meant that its power was never absolute. Throughout the 21st century, the NUSA engaged in Cold War-style standoffs, namely the Unification War. The rise of Night City of a semi-autonomous entity where corporate law was the only law embodied the fractured state of America. Night City, despite its violence and crime and corporate domination, represented a form of independence that neither the NUSA could fully subdue. Out of this anarchy emerged a new kind of community, the nomads. Once corporate slaves who became displaced individuals who rejected the corporate stranglehold and the hollow promises of city life. Early on, they were families, farmers and workers who had lost everything in the economic turmoil and wars of the early 21st century. As the decades rolled on, these groups evolved, merging together to form clans, packs, and eventually larger coalitions. They became known for their resourcefulness, survival skills, and deep sense of loyalty. In the time of the Red, after the infamous Night City Holocaust, when a nuclear blast leveled Arasaka Tower and left the city reeling, the nomads saw an opportunity to unite. Seizing this moment, they moved into Night City, gradually taking control over all physical forms of transportation, both in and out of the city, and extending to other major hubs across the USA and the Pacifica Confederation. Their influence didn't stop with transportation alone. The nomads quickly became some of the largest investors and builders of infrastructure in Night City. They took on the massive task of repairing essential services and, once restored, assumed control over these critical systems. In the power vacuum left by a weakened government and stretched corporate powers, the nomads emerged as the backbone of Night City's infrastructure, running the logistics, roads and networks that kept the city connected to the outside world. The control gave the nomads leverage over Night City's lifelines, solidifying their role as both gatekeepers and protectors as they held the keys to the city's restored systems and rebuilt its devastated roots, forming a vital network that stretched beyond the Night City's borders and into the restructured territories across America. But among them, one stood out for their ambition and scope: Metacorp. Formed in 2015, Metacorp emerged from an unexpected blend of corporate ambition and libertarian ideals. Founded as a security and maritime construction firm, Metacorp originally focused on projects like the new Gavestone, a resort city, and the second phase of the Atlantis project, a floating city of beauty ruled by the elite, symbolizing a company that combined a commercial mindset with a pioneering vision. This fusion would lead to Metacorp's evolution into something entirely new, a corporate-run sovereign entity that valued freedom above all else. This nomad clan turned corporation by 2020 had leveraged profits from its glowing security division to construct Metakey, a massive mobile island in the Gulf of Mexico. This structure became a unique blend of corporate ethos and libertarian philosophy, a place where only Metacorp's law ruled. Metakey embodied a commitment to individual liberty, permitting anything except slavery and murder, and became a safe haven for those seeking to escape traditional government oversight. With the absence of any outside legal interference, Metakey quickly became a hub for both legitimate and illicit activities, attracting corporations and individuals looking for a place free from restriction, other than those imposed by Metacorp itself. The roots of Metacorp lie in the experience of its founder, Jonathan Meta, a man whose ideals were shaped by both the war and betrayal. Jonathan, born in 1960, grew up during the anti-war sentiment of the Vietnam War. This period deeply influenced him. His uncle, a Medal of Honor recipient, faced public scorn rather than honor upon his death. This experience instilled in Jonathan a commitment to loyalty and respect, ideals that would later shape his company. Jonathan's military career took him through complex and covert operations, and his experiences in the South American conflicts further disillusioned him. Like the famous rocker boy Johnny Silverhand, he saw firsthand the cost of government manipulation, particularly when after the Second South Am War, he and thousands of American soldiers were left stranded without recognition or support. Disillusioned and determined, Jonathan and his fellow soldiers seized equipment and resources, declaring themselves a sovereign nation. From this rebellion, Metacorp was born, positioning itself as a protector of those who had been cast aside as a corporate entity that valued independence and autonomy above all. Metakey symbolized Metacorp's core philosophy, freedom from traditional authority. Built in 2020, Metakey floated in international waters and operated under its own laws. The mobile island became a hub for corporate offices, tech firms and independent ventures, each thriving in an environment free from government control. Everything was permitted on Metakey except murder and slavery, creating a high-stakes libertarian paradise where corporations could conduct business without fear or oversight. Metakey's security system was built on Metacorp's technological innovations, specifically the Jack suit, the world's first assisted combat personnel armor. With this leaseback agreement for corporate use, Metacorp retained exclusive rights to this tech, making Metakey one of the most secure locations on the planet. Law enforcement was handled by the ACPA tactical units, and police officers were subject to minimal cyberware, ensuring psychological stability. Notably, this is a departure from the cyber-augmented law enforcement economy seen in corporate enclaves. This approach exemplified Metacorp's belief in order without oppressive oversight, maintaining security without compromising individual autonomy. Metacorp's influence extended well beyond Metakey. During the time of the Red, after the Night City Holocaust, Metacorp leveraged its resources and understanding of corporate strategy to secure lucrative contracts. By outbidding other Nomad clans, Metacorp quickly became the largest shipping company in North America, controlling key supply routes and establishing itself as a major force in the rebuilding efforts. What set Metacorp apart, however, was its unique relationship with the Nomad community. While the corporation operated on a profit-driven model, it maintained a strong commitment to supporting Nomad clans, funneling over $3 billion into the Nomad economy. Metacorp saw the Nomads as essential allies, particularly during the turbulent post-collapse period. The company subcontracted work to other Nomad clans and provided support for Nomads during the Long Walk, airdropping supplies, even offering air cover when government forces failed to protect them. As one of the Nomads' 7 nations, the alliance between Metacorp and the Nomads was mutually beneficial. Metacorp's infrastructure projects and extensive trade networks provided Nomads with steady work, while Metacorp benefited from the Nomads' extensive knowledge of trade routes, rural areas and survival tactics. This cooperation solidified Metacorp's role as a critical player in the Nomad economy, allowing the company to extend its influence across North America. As of 2077, Metacorp remains one of the most influential entities in North America. Formerly registered in the Western corporate states, it has become a majority stakeholder in several major shipping companies and controls much of the continent's physical infrastructure. For the Nomad clans, Metacorp represents both opportunity and caution, a powerful ally, but one that operates within the framework of corporate authority. Metacorp's legacy is a paradox, a company born from rebellion against government control that grew into corporate power in its own right. Metacorp's story exemplifies the duality of freedom and control in the world of cyberpunk. While it provides an alternative to the rigid corporate systems of Night City, it also highlights the complexities of true autonomy within a profit-driven world. For Jonathan Meta, the dream of a self-governed society free from traditional rule lives on through Metacorp, a company that defines freedom not through idealism but through the practical lens of profit and power. If you made it this far, amazing. If you enjoyed, please give it a like and subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next one.